Hi, welcome. My name is Wanda. I am a Black woman. Hey, as you can see. Um, I have so many cool things to share with you. This session is supposed to be about making money online, specifically as a digital nomad. And I have a lot of things to say about that. I didn't know I had so much. So basically, my message to you is always about you, what it is that you want, being able to center yourself. And it takes a lot in order to say yes to yourself, whatever that desire is, especially if that's a desire that's a little bit off the beaten path. So, the last year was the last year, and a lot of people are realizing that they're able to do so much more, specifically online. So there are generally two paths that you can take when it comes to making money online. It's going to involve either getting a job or creating your own business. I'm sure that there are some things that are in between, and there's usually a gray. I can't think of what that is specifically right now, but there's usually a gray. But those are the two paths I'm going to speak about most here. So give me just one more second. Mm-mm-mm. I love technology so much. I am thankful for the technology that's able to put me in touch with you. And I'm just going to lean into that really heavy right now. Okay, so yes, it takes a lot for you to say yes to yourself, to your desires. It also takes a lot of clarity. It takes moving things around inside you, reframing them. You got to redecorate what's going on inside you sometimes, right? Some stuff has to go, some stuff needs to be repurposed, so forth and so on. That analogy works really well when it comes to making money. So how that looks is, if you are trying to get a job, what are you doing to get the job that is going to enable you to have the life that you really want? Have you actually thought about the life that you really want? I mean, you have to take that back even a step further. A lot of times we are busy, right? We are so busy trying to keep a roof over our heads, trying to nurture the relationships we have around us, sometimes trying to nurture ourselves. And honestly, a lot of this stuff is new. So the relationships and yourself and like just health and wellness in general are in a meaningful way are relatively new concepts. Doing that deeper work. A lot of specifically Black women are talking about therapy, and that's great, not because of therapy in and of itself, just because you are giving yourself a chance to explore something different so that you can feel more well in your day-to-day life, which is huge, right? Huge. So have you sat down with yourself to explore what it is that you really, really want and what that life looks like? We have often had to live and thrive in our imaginations before we've been able to do it in the real world in our bodies, right? And so that imagination is what's going to get you to the place that you want to go. So it's super important for you to be able to tap into that imagination and just let yourself play a little bit. And that is also what's going to save you when you are in this place where you're in the day to day and maybe you don't like where you are. And that's a really tough situation to be in because a lot of your energy goes into the bed is lumpy and this girl at work get on my nerves and this car is acting up and these people are acting up and why can't I stick to this these eating habits and physical regimen that I said I wanted to do, the New Year's resolutions type of things, because that's how it is. It's a downward spiral. When you have a bad thought, it attracts other bad thoughts. You start thinking other bad thoughts and you start feeling bad. Sometimes you do that unconsciously and you are not aware, and all of a sudden you feel terrible. And it's just like, wait, what was I thinking about? You may not have been actively thinking about it, but you know how the mind is. She be busy. She be talking about this and that. Remember that kid in sixth grade And then ever since then, you never wanted to wear your natural hair. And it's just like, I mean, I laugh, but like, that's really how it goes. Our minds are constantly in this place of trying to protect us and trying to keep us comfortable. And so it's like, you want another job, but like, I'm tired. I don't really have the energy to hunt for another job. I don't have the energy to do the resume. But like, those are the actions. If you're doing the work, you're doing the inside work, you have this vision for where you want to go. And you believe that a job is the way that's going to help you to experience this vision that you have in your mind. Those are the actions you have to take to get there, right? So you have to make space for it. Gratitude and mindfulness are practices that people use in order to cope, manage with what they're dealing with right now so that they could get to where they're trying to go. So you are looking at what's good around you so you can upward spiral. Oh, well, let me grab onto this good. Well, let me grab onto this. Lunch was really good yesterday. I enjoy this place near my job where I could just go outside and walk and take a breather. I have access to this or that, and that brings me so much joy. You have got to grab on. And I think that we are learning this more and more and more. You have got to grab on to every single piece of joy that you can in this life, right? Not for the sake of the joy, for the sake of feeling well. I mean, the joy is going to come and go, honestly. If you can reflect back on any experiences you had in your life, it's like, oh, I wanted a car, and then you got the car, and for a moment that joy was there. It's not in the accomplishing these things. It's never there. It's in the planning. It's in the hoping and wishing and praying and meditating and being obsessed with whatever it is, right? That gives you that feeling, that hope. It gives you that lift to keep going to get to that place. So it's never the place. It is that journey. So if you do believe that a job is going to be the thing that helps you to feel comfortable traveling, then are you making the time to look for a job? There are 3 million remote work sites, and that's what is called remote work, jobs that you can do online from anywhere. So it's super important to make the time to look for those. It's important to understand the language of some of these job titles and responsibilities within the job. So if there's some things that you don't understand, are you making the time to reach out to people? Because people are always the resource. Are you making time to reach out to people, or Googling or connecting with people on LinkedIn in order to understand what these responsibilities and roles entail? Not specifically, but generally, because, a lot of times it's the same stuff posted over and over again in various capacities. You even see it on Facebook. You don't even have to go to a whole nother site. You could be on Facebook in some of these groups where people are posting their remote work opportunities. So it is looking for that. It is preparing yourself to accept it. Again, doing that remodeling on the inside, doing whatever it is you need to do to adjust and make room for the thing that you want, to allow yourself the opportunity to feel worthy enough to receive the thing that it is that you say you want. So are you working on your resume? Are you working on your cover letter? Are you working on your interview skills? Whatever it is that it's going to take in order to get you this job that you believe that you want. Are you doing those things? Are you building faith in yourself? Are you building trust with yourself? When you have these conversations, it's almost a promise, really, that you're making to yourself. Man, I want to boat one day. I want to live in Greece for 3 months. What are you doing to get there? Because you are building trust with yourself. You are accepting that this thing is a possibility, which is huge. I didn't know this was possible for a little brown girl like me. Yes, it is. Are you making the space and taking the actions in order to accept this new reality into your lived experience, into your very being? Super, super important. Super important. I love that a lot of people now are more open to the various types of remote work that are possible. That is enormous. And like you can see how worldwide it is now. It always has been a thing. It really, like literally, it always has been. But in the last year, everybody's like, I ain't really got to go to the office, do I? And also, when you are looking at these jobs, because I don't ever really encourage, we Black. I don't ever really encourage Black people to just go get a job because there's a lot that happens in that process. Rejection happens, and you can start to feel unworthy. You could start to feel not experienced enough. You could start to feel Black. If your name is Markeisha, I have, my name is Wanda. I have even changed my name on a resume just because I was like, let me test this out. Let me put like, I don't have a middle name, but it's just like, what if I put like a Ashley or, something like that? Like, so some of these things as a Black person, it can be daunting. But again, it's sometimes about that story you tell yourself versus being able to stand up, because there are people with their actual names with multiple syllables, right? Who occupy these spaces that are, we thought, executive level type positions. And it's just like, wow, she has her name with her hair, with her skin color, with her body shape, and she's in this executive kind of position. I fully believe that to get into those kinds of spaces, it depends on your aspirations when you go for these jobs, right? So that's something to keep in mind. But in order to get to those spaces, I think that there are a lot of things that Black women encounter specifically to occupy those spaces and on the road to get there. So be careful what you wish for as you are pursuing the thing that you think you want. That's the only thing that I would say, is to caution yourself. Think about the work environment that you would encounter. Think about the politics in the office. Think about the very real experiences that you probably have already have and you could continue to have, and how you're going to manage that if that is the environment you choose to be in. And if you wanted to be in a different environment, again, doing the work that you need to put yourself in a different environment and trying to just, I guess, find the most healthy place for you. Because even though it's online, words have energy. Words have energy. It's just like, oh, you're yelling right now. Per my last email, like, we know how that goes, right? So I would encourage you to embrace wholeness before I encourage you to walk through anybody's doors where you are subject to this, or that may cause you to cut off pieces of yourself, compromise yourself in order to stay to get the paycheck. Because usually that's what it's about. We are people who are used to doing what we need to do to survive. And a lot of times that comes with a lot of, what do they say, eating poop and grinning and bearing it. And I don't want us to do that anymore. I don't want that for us anymore. So yes, that part. Teresa said, comfort is overrated. It sure is. With that said, being uncomfortable is a thing. It's a big thing. Stacey Ann say hi, Wanda. Hey, Stacey Ann. Our stories are powerful. They sure are. Careful what you wish for. You might get it and you might not like it. And that's real too. Our kitchen class from Karen. Thank you for being here. I had to think of what that was, girl. So let me see if I covered everything with that. So when it comes to being a digital nomad, making money online, I also don't necessarily advocate for the people who are vacationers or the sabbatical girls, because I think that those are often, how do I put that? Those are often crutches. Those are often coping mechanisms for the life that you've created, because you're not really allowing yourself to want the life that you really want. Right? And if you take a sabbatical, or if you take a, not vacation, because usually vacation is what, some days, a weekend. It depends on where you are and what the flights is looking like, if you're driving or whatever, all that stuff. But for the sabbatical, that's an extended period of time that you're taking away. And I really do focus on how you are spending your time when you are choosing more travel. A lot of people tend to, decompress and have fun and do some of the tourist stuff. And you can't really build a life around that. Not like a life that is fulfilling. You are going to get bored. So the work that I advocate is soul work. It is the work that lives inside your very marrow. It lives inside your cells. It has always been there. They are the things that you do. And because you do them, you think everybody could do. Oh, everybody can sing. Everybody can dance. No, they can't. Not that they shouldn't. I love it when people express themselves, because I also don't believe in, the good singers and bad singers. A singer, everybody has a voice, right? That's the coach coming out of me. But yes, so soul work. And this is not for being productive. This is not for the dollar necessarily. This is you being able to experience fulfillment because you are saying yes to the creativity that lives inside you. So when it comes to entrepreneurship, that's a whole other bag. I don't know that we historically, as people, as a human race, as a human phenomenon, I don't know, as humans, have often gotten to experience total creativity. It would seem that just by virtue of being alive, there are so many different systems and structures in place for everything that we do and everywhere that we go. Whether you are going to the grocery store, or you are worshiping, or you are going to school, going to work, there are always systems in place that tell you how to behave, what is appropriate, what is inappropriate when you're dating. For some, I don't know, women learn them, men seem not to. We don't talk about them. So having total creativity to say, I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. And it's just like, oh, wait, what is that way? I'm not really sure. And so what we do is we copy the structures that we came from. We copy the infrastructures that we came from. And that works up to a point. But it is like me going to China and putting on a kimono. Me going to Japan. Sorry, Karen, please don't cuss me out. Me going to Japan and slipping on a kimono. You can wear something, but sometimes it wears you, right? That's what I liken it to when you take these infrastructures and you put them on. So, but it needs to be tailored. It needs to, maybe I need some batik, maybe I need some catinge fabric. That is something that's more like me. Someone who has experience to make the pieces fit that suit my specific shape, my height, and how the meat hangs on my bones, right? To make me really pop. If you've ever seen anybody in tailored or just like well-fitting clothes, like, oh wow, that was like made for you. And that's what you want your business to be as well. But it could be daunting because now you're customizing an existing structure versus building a structure all on its own. So there's a lot of reconstruction. I don't know if it sounds stressful to me right now, just thinking about it, but having a home and going through to remodel it, you're knocking down walls. Some walls are meant for stability. So you knock that down and then maybe a floor falls or like it's less secure, like whatever that process looks like. I love analogies. And so maybe a foundation is great, right? But what is that foundation? You. What does it look like to start to build horizontally? What does the skeleton look like? What materials are you working with? And so that's exactly what it becomes. It becomes this venture where you are faced with yourself very intimately. So I liken it to romantic relationships, they can bring out some things in you that maybe you didn't know existed. And I say romantic specifically because familiar relationships often don't. Historically speaking, we have slept walked. We've walked in our sleep in our familiar relationships. There's been a lot less accountability. There's been a lot less conversation, like real conversation about life and the implications of life. And the fact that I'm here and I didn't really ask to be, or, some people believe that you asked to be born, whatever. And what you asked to be born as. So I don't know. But because there's less responsibility there and it's just like, oh, we family, we always gonna be family, and like, oh, I just had to forgive her and I had to move on and she was never gonna change, and like all that kind of stuff. There's a lot less wiggle room. But relationships you choose to stay in, romantic relationships where you are choosing to or not choosing to be or not be with this person. People it's widely accepted in a lot of places, maybe not everywhere, but to get divorced. It's also accepted to date around maybe a little bit in some places where you're trying to see if a person really can work with you in a relationship and you can work with that person in a relationship. So it can bring out some interesting things in you to be in that kind of relationship with someone. I would also say if you have children, I don't have that specific experience, but I could imagine that if you are a conscious parent, and a lot of the ladies that I talk to these days they're very intentional about the messages that they're giving their kids. They're very intentional about open communication, and it's not a child needs to stay in a child's place, and the silencing and all of that other stuff that can happen with children and not having access to the adult human, and the adult human not having access to the child human, and it being that kind of relationship where it's able to go back and forth. But again, these days, I think there is more of that. And so that also can bring out quite a bit of letting go of things you can't control. You have a whole human being that is here and they already had their own stuff when they got here. So, and, just trying to work with that. And I imagine it's just a whole lot of letting go because there's no control there. Like you can try. You do your best to keep this person safe, but they have their own decisions to make. They have their own way to go, just like you did. So I imagine that brings out quite a bit in you. So I think that romantic and the parent-child relationship are a bit like entrepreneurship when it comes to having to face yourself in ways that make you either evolve or maintain the old stuff that you've been maintaining. And so when it comes to making money online, specifically with entrepreneurship, you're really only able to do as much as you let yourself do. Yes, there's time and energy, and sometimes you got to heal before you even get to that stuff, especially if you are trying to work travel into there. And then there's also often being in your home environment while trying to do all that, and maybe while having a job on top of that. So it does get layered very quickly. It can get. I like this saying. I was writing a bit before being late for this. I wasn't late because I was writing. I'm so sorry. I gotta let that go. I wrote, the money you make is a direct reflection of how much you think you're worth. It's also, the market, but if you never ask, you're never going to get it. If you don't set the price, you're never going to get it. So when you've done the work, again, coming to yourself, moving stuff out the way, and you say, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, what does that look like when you are on the road? It depends on who you are and how you want to make money. And the combination is endless. There are endless possibilities for the ways that you can do that. If you came here for easy answers, I am sorry, girl, I don't have them. But because everybody is so different and you're going to do it differently. And I think, honestly, if we here, right? So I think you already know a lot of the ways. And maybe what you just needed is a little bit of a boost or maybe a direction, a line of reasoning, an idea to kind of follow to help really push you off into that thing. So you stop being scared and you stop feeling like you're less than, and you stop feeling like you don't know enough, and you stop feeling like you're unprepared or you need to go get a certification or take another course. Or coaches are great. Actually, I'm not going to say hire a coach because that can help. You still got to do the work. You still have to show up. And so that's why I always take it back to the inside work that you have to do before you step out into this soul work that you want to do. So you can be a coach, you can be a dancer, you could be a researcher, you could be a mom, and all have a product or a service that you want to offer the world. And that's usually what it comes down to in entrepreneurship. You either have a physical product, a travel chair. I don't know, a travel chair. Kind of products. A wooden toothbrush. Like I saw those on the market. Like just whatever it is, anything. Literally, again, possibilities are endless. Or you have a service. You are selling one-on-one time. You are creating online courses. You have a membership program. You bundle opportunities that you see and want to present to a specific audience. It can look millions of trillions of different ways. It all depends on who you are, the experiences that you have that you want to present, packaging those, and then like you don't just get to stop there. You have to show up. Like you have to talk about what it is that you're doing. And I think too, this is the part that a lot of Black women entrepreneurs get stuck on. You want to hide behind the brand. You want to hide behind the brand. I have a podcast, Black Women Travel Podcast. I've talked to over 100 women in the last 2 years, and more than that, because some episodes did not air. And I have heard often enough, when I started, I was hiding behind the brand. That means not showing your face. That means not showing up on video. That means not putting your offerings out there. That means lowballing yourself in terms of the prices. That means just being, how do I even say that? It's like there's a fly. Gah. They got them in Albania too, y'all. Ugh. That means just playing yourself. You playing yourself. You are playing yourself because you don't think it's important enough. You don't think you're important enough. Again, because entrepreneurship is that, I think it's like a mirror, right? You are looking in the mirror, and if you're focusing on the flaws, then you might not go out. And you've got to go out. So you got to say, oh, my collarbone is actually really cute, or like this shade of lipstick looks really good with my complexion, or like, wow, my curls are popping today. Like, yeah. So how are you having the constant conversations with yourself and with your intended audience in order to show up fully, in order to be a whole person and not cut off pieces of yourself because you're not the 20-something-year-old biracial traveler? If I can get, because that paints a picture, right? She looks a certain kind of way, and maybe she's been traveling for X amount of years and she has youth on her side. Like, how are you talking to yourself when it comes to, or the seasoned traveler? She's been to 3 million countries, because apparently that's a thing now, and 57 continents. And she's been in business for 5 or 10 years. And so you're like, well, I'm not her and I'm not her. And it's okay, obviously, not to be either of them. but are you embracing where you are now so that you can get to wherever you're trying to go? So let me see what y'all been saying. Teresa said, no more poop sandwiches. Stacy said, I've burned out before building someone else's dream. And now that I'm moving towards my vision, it's easier to put off actions I need to take. Need to also do it differently for me. You said that. That's the entire word. That's the whole entire word. And that is part of accepting where you are. That is part of you constantly putting energy towards yourself so that you can show up. And really, it's not even for the money that you're going to get from entrepreneurship. There are things that you learn about yourself. There are things that you may know about yourself, but you embrace it in a different kind of way that is just so delicious and yummy. And it makes your very being come alive, and it makes you feel like this is what I'm here for. It makes you feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And it feels, you know how that sounds. It feels good. It feels amazing for you to say yes to yourself and show up for yourself. And there's also the whole thing, women in general are the caregivers and give, always taking care of somebody else, watching out for somebody else, just like Stacey Ann was talking about, building somebody else's dream. But when you give to yourself, when you practice, maybe this is the whole concept. It's like entrepreneurship as self-care, leaving out all the capitalism and all that stuff, right? But the acts that you take, and it is such a conscious decision that you have to make every single day to say, this is for me, and this is just for me. And I'm really excited. If I were doing the podcast for anybody else, I would not have been able to show up. 2 years, 100 episodes, one episode every single week. Every single week. I would not have been able to do that if it were for somebody else. If I was looking at, like I'd mentioned, the conversations that didn't air. If I were thinking about the people that didn't show up for appointments. If I were thinking about the lack of social media engagement from fans or whatever else it was. If I were doing it for anybody else but myself, and because I made a promise to myself to show up, then it wouldn't have gotten done. But the way that I've been able to do it, and that is sustainable. And if I decide to change that, that is great as well, because it's what I want, right? The act of showing up for yourself every single day, and sometimes it doesn't even take a whole lot, is exhilarating. It's exhilarating. And by virtue of doing that, you open up the possibilities for so many other things because you have made space for the biggest thing. And that is you. I don't know how else to punctuate that. I don't know how else to drive that point all the way home. That is you. The way that you are able to make space for everything else, to make the impact you want to make the sales goals you want to make, to have the travel experiences you want to have, is by putting yourself first in the most practical way. What's most important right now? What do I need to do right now? How do I break this down? How do I walk with myself every day? How do I talk to myself every day? How do I enjoy my very being and show up for myself every day? You don't get weekends off when you show up for yourself, because showing up for yourself could look like taking an actual walk with yourself, right? It could look like going to enjoy 50-cent gelato, which is here, and I haven't done in a while, but I was doing it every day for like two or 3 weeks. Don't do that. I don't know that that's necessarily healthy. Whatever. I love sugar. I really think, and then imagine how everything ripples out from that. We've heard it. It's nothing new. Like, I'm pretty sure anything that I've said this entire time has been nothing new to you. What are you practicing? How are you actually living in your life? Right? How are you making space to get that job, to find that job, to not be scared by the tech positions? Because there's a lot of positions in tech where it doesn't involve a stitch of code. But are you taking the time to learn about them? If a job is the way for you, if you are going the entrepreneurship route, how are you making space for yourself so that you can say, I'm going to teach people how to paint. I'm going to teach people how to dance. I'm going to teach, or I'm going to create. I have a planner that's been in my heart for a century. How am I going to create this planner and put it on the market? Whatever it is, product, service, how are you sitting with that? How are you mining your own experiences? I'm a huge gatherer, and that directly comes from a place of not having people gathered around me. And it has been something that I have had in my periphery for my entire existence. I'm the 10th child in my family. So I'm the youngest. I'm also the cutest, if I do say so myself. I am. And they just never had their stuff together. All disrespect to them, because they was all older. Like, in my mind, right? This is how things are supposed to work. I'm supposed to have older brothers and sisters. They're supposed to take care of me. I'm the baby. I always say the youngest, but because I never got treated like the baby. They was all gone and grown. It's 10 kids, so there's some age difference there. My oldest sister's, I think she was old enough to be my mom. So they were gone. I had two older brothers. They did the tough older brother bit. And I'm in communication with exactly zero of them. When I lived in Atlanta, I would go back to Illinois, where I'm from. And I would be like, family fun day. I had my CNN check. I was like, let's go to the movies, buying out 2 rows. Cause it's not just them, but a bunch of their kids. Not everybody was in Illinois. Some were scattered in other states. And family fun day, let's get everybody together. And I was like, I want to get my nieces and nephews and bring them down for the summer. And I was like, oh, my sister has all these kids. I want them to come live with me. I want to take care of them because she's not doing a great job. I'm 20 something at this point, right? And I went to El Salvador. I said yes to myself. And I stopped trying to cultivate a relationship with my brothers and sisters. So then there were my nieces and nephews who I was much closer in age to. And I tried with them, and then I stopped trying to cultivate a relationship with them because it wasn't mutual. That's not our family culture. We are not close. And nothing that I was doing was changing that, no matter how many conversations I was trying to have. And I had to let go of the people at CNN. After your family, the people you spend the most time with are usually the people at work. And I thought we was good. I was like, oh, we friends for life. Again, I'm 20 something. And so I learned that wasn't it either. And I had to understand who I am as a person, and travel played a lot into that. I lost my mom and my sister 6 days apart. And those were the people that would have been closest to me. Everybody loved their mama, right? And then my sister, personality wise, we were the jokester. She was also a traveler. And those people were no longer in my life. So then I had all these other brothers and sisters who were not really on my wavelength, let's be honest. And I had to just come to terms with what I was working with. I was like, this is what I'm working with. And I was trying to create chosen family, and that was and wasn't working. And I found myself, and these are more recent realizations. So maybe last year, 2020 was when I was just I have energetically been holding on to people. I have been keeping people in my heart who don't return with the same fervor. They don't have the same deep. And if it is, they're not saying it. You ain't saying it good enough, right? I don't feel it. from your end. So I had to let it go and be okay with that and give myself what I needed to fill myself up. And so a lot of times, like the travel has absolutely helped with that. Not only did it put physical distance, so I stopped believing that people were there for me when they weren't, but it has helped me to have the space to process it all, right? And to experience different environments and to know myself in these different environments so I could say that, like, I am who I am, whether it's Vietnam or, Paris or back in Atlanta. Like, I am who I am. And I love her and I want to show up for her. But a lot of those experiences made me want to create online spaces. I like everybody loves a good concert. Like it's nice to come together and have something to enjoy. That's also the idea behind the conference that the idea that I had in 2019. I had it earlier than that actually because of the Black Women Digital Nomad Entrepreneurs Group, but actually putting it out into the world at that kind of rate was the International Black Women Travel Jubilee. I was like, let's get together. I was talking to these women from the podcast. It had been about 5 months or something like that, 4 or 5 months. And I was like, oh my God, I love all of you. And let's get together. We love to travel, but like, let's also level up. Like we can share our skills and like all this other cool stuff. And so, but all of that came out of not having closeness with my family, not having the relationships in my life that I thought I wanted in order to feel whole. But instead I felt whole and said, we can still do all of that stuff. Like it just came from a different place, but that is where it came from. That's why I'm a gatherer. And it didn't just start as well. Like when I started traveling, like I did this stuff in Atlanta too. But I was more into music stuff there. So I would like do live events and stuff like that. Just trying to like get people together. And that's always where my mind goes like, oh, you do this. Oh, this person does something similar. Like you two should talk or like we should hang out or like whatever that was. So the things that I've created are a direct reflection of my experiences. They're a direct reflection of maybe problems. I don't think they're problems, but I guess adjustments I wanted to make in my personal life. But I applied them to the various things that I was interested in Atlanta when I was working on the music stuff. It was that. And since I've been out on the road, it's y'all, right? So it is mining from your experiences. It is mining from the adjustments that you want to make in your life, whether that's fashion for a specific body type, whether that's like Karen and her open-mindedness when it comes to food and how we nourish our bodies and body politics and all that type of stuff. Like that's how she's been able to freak it, right? And being able to package it and say, again, this is who I want to serve. It's open to everybody, or I want to serve women or whatever it is. And talk about it, talk about it, talk about it, talk about it, talk about you, talk about you. Put yourself in the business because yourself is already in the business, right? Yeah, we do copy Teresa. I've discovered I no longer really know what I want and working on that. And that's okay too. This stuff takes time. Again, because we are used to structure and infrastructure, it's a lot of times your brain is going every which way direction. And so maybe you do stick on someone or a program or whatever it is in order to try and give some order to your experience. I completely understand that desire. And also still wanting to point you back to yourself and, sit down with a cup of tea. And if you journal. I can't do that no more. If you do voice notes, do that. I don't do that either. I just talk out loud to myself these days and it helps tremendously just because there's so much going on. I have to say it out loud to just like literally get it out of myself. But making that time to say, hey girl, how you doing today? How was today for you? And What would a good tomorrow look like for you? What's the most important thing to do right now? Are you just doing busy work to be busy, or are you creating something and facing that little bit of fear or a lot of bit of fear and taking the steps to go ahead and put it out? Nah, be real. No, I felt a little hesitation when you did. Like, how are you talking to yourself? And it is very much that. And it is as simple as that. Like, listening to yourself and prompting yourself to say the real thing and not the girl, I'm all right. The stuff you get to say to everybody else, right? Not doing that. Don't do that. Don't say the stuff you're saying to everybody else. Entrepreneurship as self-care. Thank you, girl. That's mine. So don't try to steal it. That's a switch I need in perspective. Yes. And I love being able to have these conversations because, like, I haven't even phrased it as that before, but that is how I see it, really. We have had to do so much. We have had to take so many hits and not speak to the thing we really needed to speak to in order to put food on the table, to keep the lights on, gas in the car, food in the fridge, all of that stuff. Survival, right? So much of our energy has been spent in survival, and it has not been spent largely in being able to create from the depths of ourselves and show up for ourselves and say, this is what I'm going to do. I am going to make it work. I have faith in myself. I pressure myself. So I've been doing this podcast, like I've been talking about, 2 years, every single week, but there's still some pressure. I'm like, man, it's Thursday. You haven't edited. It's Thursday night. You haven't edited. It's Friday. You haven't edited Sunday show. You haven't edited. And sometimes I just have to be like, it is 178 degrees outside. I am hot. I am not in the mood. I trust myself. I have faith in myself to be able to do what I said I was going to do. So right now you need to chill. It's going to get done, but it's not happening right now. and it gets done. I'll be like, all right, well, you ain't got to get snippy with me. If that gelato feeds your soul, that's the healthiest thing you can do for you. Thank you for the permission. So that's what I have to offer you in the way of making money online as a digital nomad. Let me see. There were a couple of things that I wanted to say. Let me make sure I got them. I have my notes here. Oh, I like this. I wrote this too. I said, it takes courage and persistence to sweet talk yourself out of self-doubt. So what I was just talking about was the kind of beating myself up or the internal pressure to produce. And instead, it's like, girl, I got you. I've had you. I will have you in the future. Like, let's just relax right now. It's okay. So it's like, it's very much that, girl, I know you don't like doing video, but some people enjoy connecting in that way. And so what we're going to do is, here's the plan. See the plan through and then check back. Hey, you have this plan. You tried it out for a while. Is the plan working? Some people took the offer. Some people didn't. Maybe it's the wording. Maybe it's not. Some people like videos. Some people like short videos. Some people like to read. Some people like to have conversations, like one-on-one. So how do the people that you want to connect with, how do they like to connect? Where do they want to connect? What is it that they need? Are you serving the deeper need or a surface need? Are you phrasing it as, what is it? Are you phrasing it in a way that's going to, no, that's not what I wanted to say. Yeah, I guess it's mainly that deeper need and being able to catch their eye with how you present it. So this is about making money online, but clearly it wasn't a step 1, step 2, step 3, because that's not how I get down. But I felt like the title would resonate because that's what a lot of people want to know. I don't have a neat and tidy answer for you because I'm not a trust fund baby. I'm not someone who had access to a lot of money and opportunities. This is the way that I came through. So I can tell you this way, right? Also, I'm not a six figure chick. So, like, I can't tell you how to get six figures, but I can talk to you about building community. I can talk to you about why I started to build community and how that reason has changed. I can tell you about how I've tried things and how I've been able to show up and how I've wanted to change how I show up. This is something else is that I was talking about how Black women often hide behind their businesses. And though there is not one way to do it, people want a piece of you. And it is not necessarily in the work that you do. And this is something I'm integrating into my life that I've learned and that I'm integrating is that people want a piece of you specifically. And if your audience is Black and maybe Black women, I think that that is having to build a deeper sense of trust. I'm still working on that, but I know that they want a piece of you. They want to know your story. They want to know what you're about. Even if they don't particularly care about you specifically, they want to identify. They want to relate. They want to be able to connect with you specifically, not the brand, not the logo, not the offer, but you specifically. So in order to do that, you have to be comfortable showing up to do that. But also, so like I thought I could just put the work out and the work was, I mean, the work is the work, like it's glorious. But I'm learning like it takes more. I also believe heavily in like lifting others up. And so in the group or for example, the entire podcast, right, it's always making space for others and putting others up on the platform and giving them a chance to shine and giving them a chance to reflect more deeply on their life and work. When I would do meetings in the Black Women Digital Nomad Entrepreneurs group, I would be like, hey, who want to come up and talk? You know, I will always do that. And it's like, I never took the time myself. I never took up the space myself to talk about who I am, where I came from. I would do little things here and there, right? But it's not, I haven't been having a constant conversation about my personal experiences, about what I've been learning and sharing those with people. People need that. And I think that's across industries and across, you know, even at some jobs, they do that to you and it's horrible. They go around the room, everybody got to say their name or something. They like, you know, team building type stuff. They want a piece of you, you know, they're trying to rope you into the company culture and stuff like that. But it is the same for entrepreneurship, product or service. People want a snippet of you. And the sooner you get comfortable with that and how you want to show up, you still get to decide those things to a certain extent, right? Then the more you are able to make those connections, the more you're able to see the cause and effect. Because I did this, this, and that, then I was able to meet this person or get this opportunity or create this amount of income for myself. So tie that together real cute as soon as possible. You have got to show up. You have got to show up. There's no way around it, unfortunately. I mean, even when you're in the interview process for a job, it's just like, why do you want to work for us? Or, you know, when they ask you if you have any questions, there's this whole thing where you're supposed to like say something brilliant that ties you into the company and the knowledge of the company. It's all that stuff. For whatever reason, like that's what it takes. I'm still trying to understand why, but I guess that's just what it is. Also, there's this thing that we do where sometimes we are not clear about what we have to offer and how valuable that is. So when you are mining your experiences, when you are mining the things that you have learned, being able to say somebody could use this. It may not be for, and that's a lot of things, right? Somebody could use this. It may not be for everybody, but somebody, and it might just be enough somebody's. Entrepreneurship is all about testing. You have no idea, really. You have an idea about what could work. You don't know if it'll really work. It was Aitza, petite traveler. petite for sure. I don't know if it's traveler. Petitely packaged. That's what she is. Petitely packaged. Super brilliant. She was talking about a couple of, I think it was TikToks. I don't think they were reels. A couple of TikToks she had done. One was like super informative and like giving all the tea on this or that. And the other one was a video that ended up going viral. And all it was her showing salt in the grocery store in Spain. And I'm not sure what was special about the salt, but she was just like showing the aisle where the salt was. Viral. According to her, I didn't see what the numbers were. I don't know what constitutes viral. But anyway, so you have it's just like, oh, I'm going to pour myself into this. This is going to be great. And it doesn't hit. And that's okay. All it is information. So you take that information and you iterate on it. And so you try out a different kind of content. You know, the lists became really popular. I don't even know how long ago, but it's like 10 things to do in Tulum. And, you know, that's going to go like wildfire. And often they call it clickbait. It's why a lot of these publications have the lead that they have. Is called headline. Have the headline that they have is because they want you to click on it. They want to draw you in. And so sometimes that involves throwing some controversy in there or fear. There's the saying, like, if it bleeds, it leads type of thing. So, you know, the baby being canceled from this or that. Like, so you definitely have to, I was just thinking about the baby and how funny that is. Sorry. So you definitely have to stay in touch with the things that you're working on and being aware if they're hitting or not hitting with your audience and continuing to try and just try. And the more you are, I think that the more people feel energy. Like, you feel energy. It's somebody you don't like, and maybe you didn't even meet them in person, or maybe you only read one post and you just like the way the words that you use don't vibrate well with who I am as a human being. And so, like, I just don't think we would ever really get along. I don't like you. Right? So keep that in mind. And it comes back to you too. Some people just, I don't know why, but some people just don't like me. Right? But it is funny. Like, it's taking the Lil Nas X approach. Like, you can't troll me because I troll me harder than you could ever troll me. So I'm never going to be offended. I get it. Some people just aren't for each other, and that's okay. And that's going to happen in business. That happens at jobs, right? It's just like, you're not a good culture fit for the company, so we're going to have to let you go, right? So not taking that stuff personally, but also still being able to realize the things that your experiences and the things that you've learned have value to somebody, and being able to continue to put them out. Side note, I love RuPaul's Drag Race. I haven't watched it in a while, but the concept of it from the seasons that I have watched are people who come into this extremely aggressive and competitive environment. And some of them crumble, but some of them rise, and some of them wobble as they rise. I think that Bob the Drag Queen is the only one who I never really saw wobble, who was just like, this is mine and I'm going to get it. And I'm not here for the drama, and I don't care about what anybody else has to say. I know why I'm here. I know that I'm talented and I'm going to do it. So you have to go through the auditions to get there in the first place. But once you're there, you see the self-doubt. You see, most of it is self-doubt. You see how the competitiveness can absolutely make someone crumble because they see someone else being praised and they're worried about the judges. They're not showing up as themselves. They're not showing up as themselves within the constraints that they're given. They're just like, I have this small role. It only had 2 lines in it. Like, what was I supposed to do with that? But then you have somebody with a small role with 2 lines who freak it because they understand why they're there. And that too is entrepreneurship. Being able to They say the market's saturated. They always say, I don't understand why they say that. The market's saturated. Sure, there's a bunch of coaches out there. Ain't none of them me. Don't any literally listen. I've been around the world, and I've never met anybody just like you. I can promise you that. I can promise you that they didn't come from the same circumstances, the same soil, the same quality of water, the same lighting conditions, the same fertilizer or lack of fertilizer. They didn't come from the same place. They did not bloom how you bloomed, and vice versa. You have not bloomed how anybody else has bloomed. You're here, and that is testament to your uniqueness. And a lot of people, I don't even know what the snowflake thing is really about. I just hear it being said. So that might be in your subconscious, but like, you are truly special. And until you really realize and embrace that and show up and say the words that need to come out of your face, then you are going to be holding yourself back innately from touching people who like to be touched, right? So it's really important for you to get there, for you to get to that place where you say, I am very unique. There are a lot of common things that happen. We laugh about being raised in the same household. You know, turn them lights off, running my electricity bill up, or whatever it is. The things that are common in Black households. There was the abbreviation. I don't care what so and so say. You better before I beat your blah 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 blah. And so, like, if you could decipher the code, you knew that AAVE, African American Vernacular Expression, or whatever it's called. Then, like, you're inside the Black Club or whatever. There are a lot of things that commonly happen, but your specific circumstances are really, really dope. Really, really dope. And those are the things that make you stand out innately. You ain't even got to do a whole lot, just because you just different automatically. And so everything that you do, whether it's a product or service, whether you go to a job, you bring that uniqueness to that. You bring it to the environment. People can read that different energy. It's why there's a Walmart and a Target and Sam's Club and whatever else and whatever else and whatever else. It's why you go in the store and how many different brands of hair care item. It's like overwhelming. So many to choose from. So many different toothpaste brands to choose from. So many different vineyards to get your wine from. It's just like, if you think that it's already out there, it's not. I promise you, it's not. And it's not going to be the way that you could do it either. So do it. You got to show up. So I think that is mostly what I wanted to say. You are the key to any and everything happening. So sit with yourself and get there. Have those sweet conversations with yourself. All right, y'all. Let me see if y'all said anything else. I don't think so. Well, thank you so much. Again, I'm so sorry for being late. Thank you for joining me on this live. If you are watching this, I almost said posthumously. I hope not. Do ghosts have YouTube? If you are watching this after the live has actually aired, then please leave a comment. And to plug all the stuff you know you're supposed to do anyway. You know you're supposed to be doing this. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share with your little friends and them. And I'm happy to answer any questions. So leave a comment down there in the comment section. And I will see you probably next week then, girl. Bye!